welcome to another review by DWC, or Diecast Wings Collectors as we're collectively known. And this is another holy grail find for me, and it's a very, very rare aircraft in these shores. And it is the Corgi Aviation Archive, not an AA release, but a US release only, 33822. And this is a P47D 5, so the serial is unknown, and Major Gerald Johnson of the 9th Fighter Squadron, 49th Fighter Group in Guinea, New Guinea, January 1944. And for those familiar with the aviation scene, there's one very similar to this being restored in Australia for, I believe, a US museum. It might be Pima, correct me if I'm wrong, of course, folks, but very, very similar with the all-white tail. And this is a very hard to find aircraft and didn't come cheap. But let's open her up, have a little look inside the box, and we'll go from there. So let's have a little look at this. So this is in the days when obviously Corgi wasn't owned by Hornby. So this is the old style black surround box and the old style Aviation Archive styling. So in these days, Corgi had Corgi USA and released some US only versions of aircraft, and this being one. So very limited numbers on the European scene, obviously ones that are inputted in. I don't know if some were kept here by Corgi UK in order to sell here. Again, some of the purists in the diecast world might be able to tell me this, but I suspect a lot of these were imported from the US. And this is, like I said, a very, very hard to find aircraft. No, it isn't highly regarded, the P47 Razorback series by Corgi. The one by Dragon is often regarded as a better solution. So in this case, we've got a slip-off sleeve. And then the standard Corgi box underneath. So let's open her up. And inside you've got the tokens and the old token system. I don't think it's going to be worth much now in terms of collecting an aircraft. And then you've got a rather larger certificate in there, which is like an open one, which I'll open in a minute. And which I thought was also a nice touch for the US range. It's a little fold-up slip, which you could put on the front, which I don't know whether that was just to put on shelves to sell, or whether it's just to identify your aircraft. There's a dollar sign there, so I suspect that it's for retailers to put on the shelf to sell. But nice little touch. Inside, as always, you've got your undercarriage included in your bag. The stand is there, and of course the aircraft is in situ in the clamshell. So I'm not going to muck around and open that on video. I'll open it off video and we'll put her on the stand first and have a little look. So here she is out of a box, looking rather resplendent and really different to the Thunderbolts amongst my collection. I love a Pacific Thunderbolt. It does look rather strange with the all silver prop and hub, but the scheme's lovely. The olive drab is a nice sort of browny olive drab, and it's got obviously some kill markings on it, but I'll go through the history of the pilot shortly. But a couple of bits I want to cover off. So I spoke about the tokens in the box. It does come with this. So basically, if you've got 6 red tokens, you get a free SPAD. If you've got 6 blue tokens, which is all the World War II aircraft, you get a free special edition Halifax. If you had 6 green tokens, you get a free special edition Vampire. And if you had 6 yellow tokens, you get a free special edition Westland Wessex. The closing date for this was January the 31st, 2008. So slightly out of time for that. But also within that squadron, you've got some squadron history here. There you go, there's a little bit of the US related releases. So P38, 2 P40s and the P47 there, and a little bit of history around the aircraft, which I'll go over shortly. And this is part of the squadron history range, which was on the front there. So yeah, rather good. It's got obviously the 83 on the front there, the Japanese kill markings, and the 83 on the tail. Not many more markings on the aircraft at all, really. Quite a basic scheme. Underneath, I'll quickly lift that up off of the stand. What I do really like, I don't know if you can see, on the stand there, you've got like a rubber sort of grommet that goes around the base, and it just slips in like really, really solid. It's going nowhere. Obviously now is a different type of stand, but Corgi are relatively happy with that. I don't seem to be any issues other than the Heinkel HE11. No dihydral on the wings, of course, on the P47. Quite flat, but quite, you know, it's a good looking aircraft. Obviously the new one's just come out as well, which I need to get, which is Cripes and Mighty. George Preddy's P47 when he was based in the UK. So I need to get that at some point in the future. but let's see how that goes. So let's get her on her wheels. Tricky one to put on her wheels, but I'll talk you through that in a minute. See you in a sec. Here she is on a down undercarriage. Took a little bit of time, so apologies for the wait. It's one of those things that for me is never really solid enough, other than the Forces of Valour P47, which isn't a bad aircraft in all fairness. It comes with a one fit, including both inner and outer undercarriage doors, which literally slots in, and it's beautiful. It's so easy to do. I just wish Corgi would get involved in that, but look, it looks lovely on her undercarriage. Really nice looking aircraft. Again, you know, chuffed with the release on this. So tricky again, you know, tricky to get that main undercarriage block in, but hey ho, we will persist. So a little bit of history around the aircraft. So it's the 9th Fighter Squadron. Reluctantly gave up its P38s for P47s after the revolt campaign of late 43. And although the Lightnings were in short supply in the Pacific Theatre, there were plenty of the heavyweight P47s available. So the unit converted to the Republic Fighter in November of 1943. It was the only unit within the 49th Fighter Group to re-equip with the P47, and its pilots were not impressed with it at first. It did, as if to prove their point, only 3 aces claimed kills with their fighter, including the squadron CO, Major Gerald Johnson. He claimed the Tony and the Zek with this very aircraft, which bore his command stripes in December 43 and January 44. Now that's really interesting because a lot of the P47 pilots in the European campaign absolutely loved it. It was spacious, you know. There was often the joke you could take your coffee or a drink with you. You had an ashtray, and you know, you could get about 4 people in that cockpit. It's a big old fighter in comparative for its day. But interesting to see that the Pacific pilots didn't feel quite the same. Of course, the Lightning was known as the fork-tailed devil by the Japanese, and had a fantastic kill ratio out in the Pacific. So I might have to do a little bit of research and find out what the ratio of kills to the P47 were in the Pacific. But look, a very, very rare aircraft, not often found on these shores, which I'm really, really happy to have amongst the collection. One of the holes in the P47 family. Just now Mr. Preddy's to go, and I've got the full P47 contingent in 1/72 scale, with the exception of the Kansas one with the D-Day stripes by Dragon. That's on my next list. That's now elevated itself up to the top 5 releases that I need to get. So one I need to get, and hopefully you'll see videoed on here in the not too distant future. So look, that's it from the P47 video. I'm going to try and crack on with a couple more tonight and try and line them up one by one. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button as soon as you can. I'd be most grateful for all the guys here at DWC who are trying their best to try and make a page a bit more relevant going forward. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.